I've chosen these vendors because these are fast track vendors. These are not all the vendors. So I apologize if I haven't included your favorite one. But in my opinion, there's two types of migrations, content migrations. And the only one that I really know the price for is ShareGate. So that's the one I gave you the price for. ShareGate is such a low cost and it is such a valuable tool. I don't work for ShareGate, you guys. I get nothing out of this. It's just how passionate I am about this tool. It's a tool that you want whether you're in a migration or not. I feel like you want to spend the $4,000 a year to have ShareGate in your business anyway, because it's going to help you move things around later. So for me, ShareGate it's an essential tool. Whenever I'm working on a project, I make it a requirement that my customers purchase a license for ShareGate, at least for that first year. And every single client so far has kept that license. So I think even if you use one of these other tools, I still think ShareGate, it's just a no-brainer at that price point, in my opinion. But Migration Wiz has now from BitTitan has now come into this space. They're priced per user per year. I don't know what the price is, but I do think it's fair for me to tell you where I found that each one of these tools is ideal. Migration Wiz seems to be ideal for G Suite. So if people are coming off of Google Docs, then I think Migration Wiz is 100% one that you're going to want to look at and evaluate. They're also very big in the mergers and acquisitions space, which means that tenant to tenant or teams to teams. So think of two businesses coming together, buying another business. So if you're in the business of buying other businesses, then Migration Wiz would definitely be worth you getting a demo of. However, notice that Migration Wiz does not support box sources. So when you're evaluating a tool, here's what I would say. You need to know where your content is coming from. And that's the question that you have to ask yourself. Do they, migrate my content? And for that, you guys, Zillow has the most connectors of any vendor. I guarantee you there is nothing you have to migrate that Zillow can't handle or doesn't have a connector for. They're an annual subscription fee, which tells me they're probably the most expensive on this list, but there's a reason. Now, the reason is that all the rest of these on this slide, really their bread and butter is moving over legacy enterprise content management tools. So things that are on-prem, like in LiveLink, Documentum, FileNet, right? So for them, Zillow and Cloud FastPath, as well as SkySync, they all kind of sit in that space. Zillow has the most connectors. Oh, but SkySync, I would say second in line from ShareGate. So assuming you already have ShareGate, and if you can do it on ShareGate, do it on ShareGate. I would say have a developer who can help you with the PowerShell stuff. But SkySync seems to be the second most popular. So like the big consulting companies, don't be surprised if you hire one of them, like SHI, for example, they use SkySync almost exclusively over and above ShareGate. So keep that in mind, and they are ideal for box migrations. So SkySync, maybe, between SkySync and maybe Migration Wiz, maybe that's your decision. But SkySync doesn't have an SaaS model. And why is that important? Well, probably most of us have something, on-prem, but just keep that in mind from a SkySync perspective. You have to have something on-prem in order to use SkySync. So there you go. And then Cloud FastPath, they don't do Documentum or OpenText, but they are good for cloud-to-cloud migrations. This is my last slide. M365 groups. Import from Azure AD, don't just bring over the labels. Just make sure that those words are said to whoever's in charge of your Exchange migration. Teams and SharePoint sites are created automatically, and that's why I say do this first to avoid duplicate teams. Run pre-check, and so pretty much all the tools that were on the previous slide allow you to kind of do a test run before you actually try it. And that's going to pull out all of the errors. Most of the errors you're going to find are here. Either the files have special characters in them or the folder names have special characters in them. I know ShareGate has now added it so that it will automatically rename those things for you, so you don't even have to like create your own script now. ShareGate will just do it automatically. If it finds a % sign, it'll make it an underscore or whatever you decide. And then the other thing that you're going to run into is all of these person and group fields for people who are no longer there, because as you know, SharePoint, even if you delete them from the user list, it doesn't forget information. And so you've still got this name that's not going to resolve in the new environment. So my suggestion is just to migrate all those to single line of text. And then once you get them into the new environment, then you can create a new person and group field, and then you can start using that point forward. You can copy paste what'll come over, but at least it won't mess up your migration. Anytime you can bring anything over in a single line of text, bring it over in a single line of text, just from a migration perspective. And then the throttling, by now you probably know and understand that these things take time. Use the scheduling feature, roll out the sync button in waves, and then get everything over and then run a Delta update. So that's what I'm saying. You don't really know how long it's going to take until you actually get in there. So there is some in this, even this might be kind of old now, but I think, what did I put in the notes? 1 gig per user per hour at 200 users at a time. That's what you can write down. So that's according to BitTitan, and that was as of Tuesday, right, when I sat in on a session for them. So 1 gigabyte per user per hour at 200 users all running the migration at the same time. Do all of that math, come up with that formula and do that math